He might. I would put that within Ben's powers. Yeah. So
He's probably got a bunch of quarters in his beard, so I'm sure if we shake him, something will come out.
You know what I have in my beard?
You don't have a beard.
nothing.
I
Yeah.
have. I mean, okay, I wouldn't call it a beard. You know what I had? If
Not
I
your
had
Linux
the
knowledge,
growth,
that's for sure.
the growth on my face that could be a beard one day.
Cancer.
This is so gross.
I have this segue to welcome
It's
to
making the
Dresden
worst
Files
I have
podcast.
ever heard.
Oh, that he's not even showing us his fake beard, so how are we supposed to know that there's a segue there?
Today, we're doing some more Writers Room, White Knight Part 5. We're probably talking a little bit about the Comic-Con panel. Maybe the preview chapter, question mark?
Some of us haven't read it.
You
I
didn't.
wouldn't-
Oh my gosh.
E.G.
Get
of
out.
all people didn't read it?
I don't read
Somebody
those
hit the
things
eject
piecemeal.
button.
Either give me a book or don't. I don't want. I'm not reading one chapter at a time. It's a waste of time.
So anyway, spoilers for a
Yeah,
book that's
stuff
not out
happens.
yet.
I don't care about being spoiled. I'm just not going to read it. I will wait until.
All right, Andreas, you watched the Q&A most recently. What are your top 5 tidbits?
As of 30 seconds ago.
Yeah,
That's
right.
when I finished it, yeah. That in Mirror Mirror, it's the Red Court running things. I thought that was...
Hold on. No, correction. He said the Red Court won.
Yeah, they won,
Yeah.
so they're
Same thing.
running things.
Yeah.
Well, they might not be.
I
running
gotta
the world,
imagine
but
that there are food banks on every corner now.
Oh,
No.
shit. This is
Yeah.
my internet.
Oh, great.
We're having a special day apparently. So the Red Court won, which doesn't surprise me at all because that's the point of Mirror Mirror, right?
Mhm.
Towards that end, like I think it's vitally important to mention that Mirror Mirror is supposed to be finished writing by the end of the year, apparently this year, because his new wife said so because of spite.
Mhm.
So, that's in a nutshell the whole thing. But
The greatest
I mean, it's-
motivator
watch
of all.
the Q&A. Yeah.
And for a Reddit argument, too. It's that
Yeah.
level of spite.
Yeah.
I know it well.
And I mean, I've had some honeydews in my life, but that's a doozy, man. So I think the trade-off there is if it's possible, which I love Jim, obviously. We're on the Dresden Files podcast. I am not betting for him to
We are.
finish this by the end of the year, right? But if it's going to happen, it's got to be because spite and because he's wanted to write the book for like 5 years and because it's going to be fun and it's just going to be a slipstream of creative thought that's going to get him to the finish line. By having started looking at the methodology that he is almost certainly following because I'm reading his, mentor's book and everything like that,
Mhm.
it's a process. So even if he got done with the words, like the editing and stuff like that, it's a process, And I think as of the Q&A, he was like 10% done, which is respectable, but it's like, bro, you got like 2.5 months, like you gotta go.
Yeah, the
So-
pre-work might take much longer than the writing part. He is practiced with the writing, but he had to redo the world building since all the way from Grave Peril. And talking about like how many different things are there, how many different choices, how weird is it? And it's going to be so much fun
Right.
for him. But he had to spend several days thinking on that.
Right.
Several days
Thinking
might
is
be
hard,
a
man.
couple months.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
Well, if
welcome
you just
to
read
the
the wiki,
web
this
of
wouldn't
our
be so
choices.
difficult. But
Topical and relevant. Good job. So yeah, those were some of my big takeaways. What else? We had
Dresden, more that he gets brought in because he needs his own doppelganger to fake his death, and he goes by
Sure.
Black Dresden instead of Harry because he doesn't want anyone to know
Black
his
Wizard.
name
Or
anymore.
the Black Wizard, yeah.
which again, like it's such a fantasy trope. Like, okay, we got you. He goes by Dark Father instead of Anakin Skywalker. We get it. So
Mhm.
Listen, as long as he's got a hat.
Of course, there will be
Right.
Vader references.
yeah, has to be like.
Yeah.
I think it's got to be so good when like Harry gets pulled in with his like bunny slippers and his robe, and he's like, "What the fuck's going on? And who the fuck are you?" And then it's like, "Me, I'm you." And like, "No, it's not possible." So just the whole Luke thing.
Mm.
So
Well, it depends on how much he looks like his id already, and he's going to be like, "Wait, am I dreaming?"
I told you to
Right.
shut up.
Even better, like if he's got somebody from his universe comes in somehow, and it's like, "What are you doing?" It's, "I'm kicking my ass. Do you mind?" So this thing writes itself.
Where is it that's from? I forgot where that's
Liar,
from.
liar.
Right. I'm kicking my own ass. You mind? Right,
mind?
yeah.
That would be a good
I quite
reference.
enjoyed the alternate pun titles of the series that he got shot down for. That they were cheesy, they were bad, they would not sell nearly as much, but I loved them.
I've heard the semi-auto magic before, right? What
Mhm.
were a couple of the others? 'Cause there were a couple of
Nightmare
good ones.
for Grave
Okay,
Peril, because
that's
Full Moon
right.
did stay Full Moon, but Nightmare
Yes.
with a K because it's the introduction of Michael, and it was the Nightmare was the bad guy.
Right.
MS Harry for Summer Night. That's my favorite because it's so bad.
Right. Yeah.
MS Harry?
MS
Yeah, like
as in
emissary.
emissary.
Oh.
Yeah.
You just listen to
Oh.
this.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah, but English is his third language, so
I'm thinking of fourth now at this point because he explains that one specifically.
So what happens when you raid while you're listening to stuff, Andreas?
I don't know.
I don't remember what he said for
rating.
Death
I was
Masks.
speeding it up because the podcast thing was an hour early.
Death Mask was Holy Sheet, right? Or something
Right.
like that.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Right. Literally
and-
Jesus, but yeah.
And then he wanted Family Matters for Blood Rights, but it's like, oh, that you're really too close to Terry Pratchett. It's like, well, I don't want to sound like Terry Pratchett. Jeez.
Yeah, that was a pretty funny rebuke. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, heaven forbid I be
Remember that
confused
one.
with that guy.
How dare.
Oh no. Terry Pratchett.
Yeah.
And
And
what's
then
her
it
name
was around-
too?
Nora
What is it?
Roberts, I think he
Yeah.
called out. And then around Deadbeat, he was like, okay, I know what I'm doing. Here's the titles.
I can stop,
Right.
which is why you tell everyone to pick up the series there if they're not going to start from the beginning as the soft, not reboot, but
What was the first
No.
hardcover?
Not
Listen,
in my house.
Alternate entry point.
no one should do that. But that's what all the casuals said.
One of my friends
As
can't
to-
get through the series. Like he's listening. He doesn't like James Masters because he's I don't know why.
'Cause it's British.
And he's only gotten through the first 3 or something, and then he stopped for years and tried again the first 3 again. I'm like,
is as far as you need to get, and then you should be hooked. And if you're not, go reevaluate your life. You know?
yeah. And then I was like, just try book 7 and see. And if that's not for you, then drop it. It's like, no, it's from the beginning to the end, or it's nothing.
Correct.
True. Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
I am also a purist, but don't shoot down help when people are trying to give it to you.
Yeah, see, the problem here is that you're leaving room for all those, fans that got started with the TV show, and we don't subscribe to that here either.
Hi.
No wonder we don't get along. No, I'm just oh, I mean,
You're the
the
outlier.
best thing I could say about that is at least you saw something that you liked and decided to really get into it because,
Yeah.
man, like what a
12 years
what a
later.
rough start, you know?
After that's just the podcast time. Jeez.
Yeah, right.
And about the TV show, because he did have some news about that. The rights are out, and
That's true.
he had there some people had like, we're going to do these books, we're going to do 3 seasons, and then after that maybe we'll get larger from that. And he was really excited about it, but he did tell a very terrible pilot that someone was trying of Dresden in Mexico having been run out of Chicago. No,
Yeah, it starts in a bar in Tijuana or whatever it was.
Yeah. With no vampires, no fairies, no werewolves, because they had other shows that were.
Yeah, it's like,
that was-
okay, so just
Right.
wizards. Well, some wizards. It's
like,
like,
so
what?
just-
be too much Harry
So
Potter.
just tequila is what you're saying.
Right.
So what's the show gonna be about at
Yeah,
this
like-
point?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why are you doing this? So about adaptations, and
Exactly.
like if you're not gonna adapt the book,
Andreas, this
what
is
are
a
you
better
doing?
segue.
So
This is
yeah.
a better
Well, I mean, we
segue?
still got to talk about the first chapter, but
It was right
So-
there for you. Damn it.
I know it was premature. It was a
We're
premature
past the
segue,
first
very
chapter, White
embarrassing.
Knight. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I was,
Yeah,
I was
we
quite
can-
interested in the Q&A that he like that originally when he broke his back and all that when he got there that
Mhm.
that wasn't like he got there and was like this is really
That's
good
true.
but he wasn't
Yeah.
intending for him to take one of the 3 power-ups And I mean, I had always felt like that was like very planned, but apparently it wasn't.
Right. Yeah, one of the question was something along the lines of like, have you ever painted yourself into a corner and how did you deal with it? And the answer was when Harry broke his back, it was just like, oh man, he's totally got to break his back. And so he just wrote it. And then he's like, now what? And he spent like 3 days or something like that, just like agonized over, oh my God, what did I just do to my character in my book series? And how is he going to get out of it? And then he's like, well, obviously he's got to cut a deal. That's his only way out, and that's where that all started. That was pretty amazing, because I agree. I always felt like that was trajectory, right?
Yeah.
And in hindsight it was, but it wasn't Jim's trajectory, right? The universe was like, hey,
Well,
buddy,
Some of it, I feel like must have been because of the way that he had the debt with Mab. Like this might have accelerated his joining up with Winter, or further deepened the allyship more than he expected. But that he was always going to be working with Mab, I think, was intentional.
I mean,
Sure.
I feel like we should ask him to go more in depth on that, or like clarify that when we talk to him next, because that would be interesting. If he wants to, of course, he can always tell us. Well, I'm not gonna tell you.
What's the over under on was Maggie planned?
Yeah, that's another thing. I think up to changes that might have been like at changes that might be where he planned that. Then if we take it at face value,
keep in mind that the entire reason for them getting together in Death Masks was also a bet,
Right,
and the bet was to make BDS like a BDSM or sex scene plot relevant. And how else would you do that except for the plot comes along 9 months later, and then plus 10 years on that? Like, I think that's almost a hand me. Like, what else would it have been?
Plot relevant could have been at the point of it kept Susan from eating him in Death Masks.
It's not nearly as plot relevant as having a child, though. So like, I don't disagree with you, but out of the two, like, I think the Maggie's the stronger argument there. So nothing hooks you into the story quite like needing to save your own kid, which you've already got to hang up personally about saving women and children, and she's a female child, to go full Ferengi for a second,
He also seems somewhat undecided still if Maggie's going to have magic, because that's going to be coming up soon with puberty.
Right.
I thought he said several things about that at various points of like, she's going to have an ability, but it's not going to be what you think. But now he sounds much more undecided. It's questionable.
I mean, I have to. I would be very surprised if she doesn't have something. It may not be a full-blown wizard talent, but she's going to have magic.
Isn't he supposed to be co-writing that with his sister or something?
Well, that's the other thing. That's her going to school and doing that, whatever,
right.
However much that is. That's for like, the scions of all the kids anyway. So whether what they are or what they have is secondary to who their parents are, kind of deal.
Well, I'm just curious, like, how much is co-writer would have to say about that if she just leaves the Maggie bits up to him and she writes the rest of the stuff with the school, or if they're going to actually collaborate fully. And like,
because he also said that he'd be terrible to collaborate with, which is interesting.
He did say that. Yeah,
I would be very surprised if she doesn't have some sort of something.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in a way, it's its own plot that she's a squib, right? Especially of such a powerful wizard, right? Where she's just got to be more clever about it. And that doesn't mean she's not going to have access to magic if she's got Bob and Mouse and whomever else at her disposal and whatever, right?
Yeah, we've already seen what like Murphy was capable of. Butters for basic things, just like being clever about it is its own story.
Sure. Yeah. At the same time, to counter that own argument is that how many of these like coming of age, I'm the scion of a demigod or whatever kinds of stories where they're just like, I don't have any powers, or at least no powers that I'm aware of, or is that too close to Tavi, and how he started, and just all this other stuff, right? So like,
being
even
too
in
close
his own,
might keep him away from that,
right? So
well, there's also the fact that she's not the main character. I mean, we're still
yet.
Yeah.
Ever. Even in our own book series, Mouse will be the main character.
Hmm.
because that's all people
Yeah.
are going to care about.
That's the tough question somebody should ask him is like, okay, so you've got Maggie and Mouse, so how do you get Mouse out of the picture 90% of the time so that Maggie's actually in danger, you know? So Mouse has got to
Scooby
go to
snacks.
the store for milk, you know, like
Mm.
so.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many times you can have the three of them diverging past at the zoo to have their own stories.
Right.
We gotta remember in terms of what was planned and what he said with the Maggie's gonna have powers. Now, what do you think? So there's that, like he said in that interview, it was like, well, I'm an unreliable narrator because if it didn't stick in my head, it wasn't that good to begin with. If I said
Yeah.
it,
Like
Right.
oh shit, I forgot the name. Anasis, the spider.
Sure.
Anansi.
Nancy, thank you. Yeah,
Some
he
of those
apparently
were
doesn't
also
remember
words.
saying that on Reddit that it was Anansi, and therefore maybe that's being retconned.
Which is funny because he read the comment wrong initially, and then on the comment of it, clarified that that's what it was. And now
Really
seems
didn't
that-
remember.
Now
at
I
this
don't know
point.
that he wants to stick to that.
Right. And this is why he doesn't tell you solid answers half the time because he gets himself
I
into
very
trouble
much
when he does.
respect the girl in the Q&A asking a question that, and then he says like, and you're trying to trick me to tell you more about Starborn.
No.
it's been 18 books. We heard this in book what 3? Come
Yeah.
on, Jim.
Nope. You don't get to know until probably the
Jesus,
wrestling book.
there better at least be a fucking third of it in in 12
In Mirror,
months
Mirror.
at this point.
No.
No.
It's going to be Mirror. Mirror.
It's-
It won't be in 12 months.
Yeah, because
Oh
Black
my
Dresden
God.
already knows what a Starborn is and has fully
Of course he
embraced
does.
some form of it, something.
Yeah.
That's like,
Okay.
it's
Now that you've said that, I just got to interject with the thought that it's like Dresden Prime R. Dresden's going to get 90% of the way through the book before he realizes that 80% of the stuff Dark Dresden's doing, he can do himself. Be like, oh, that wasn't powered by vampire powers or fallen angel powers. What if? And then he starts doing it, and it's like, God damn it, Dresden, you could have done this the whole time. You know. So.
And then as he gets to the end and he's about to, Dark Dresden's about to die or whatever, he's like, wait, I have to tell you about, and then and then we're not going to get the answers until the wrestling book about some
And
Starborn
about your
stuff.
mother dead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's gonna be like so. At the end of 12 months, it's gonna be like listens to Win, sits him down. He's like, okay, so Starborn, and then he gets pulled away. And then by the end of the book, then the evil Dresden's gonna be like, so Star, and then he gets killed.
And then he gets
we're
pulled
just-
back to his own wedding, even though he should be getting pulled
boy.
out at the wedding.
Yeah.
Actually, that would work. He gets pulled out during the wedding, and then he gets thrown right back in like 5 minutes later.
And they're like, where did you
It's
go?
funny. is
About
this-
timeline.
Yeah, actually, that would be it. If he gets pulled from the wedding, he's going to be in like a suit, so he won't be in his bunny slippers.
There you go. I mean, almost as useless though. I want to take it one
well,
step further
it's-
and just say we won't find out about Starboard until the BAT. So.
Probably not. Actually, that's the other thing is if he gets pulled out during the wedding or something, like he's not going to have all his tool. Like he'll have his shield bracelet, maybe, but he's not going to have all his stuff on him.
Right.
So next, so it's Mirror's book 19, and then we have a Denarium book.
Yep.
Of which was gonna be originally, it was gonna be Mirror, then Heel Turn. So I guess Heel Turn gets moved to 21, and we have a Denarium book in 20.
Which
There's a
he's still
kaiju
been
book in
saying he's
there.
going to have like
There's a dragon book in
22-ish
there.
books. Time
Oh,
travel.
Oh yeah, so yeah,
And I
That's
still
24
maintain
that's
the dragon and the
24
kaiju are going to be the same thing.
yeah, probably.
I can see that.
Yeah. It's not
But
hard.
didn't he talk
right?
about
it's
some
a layup.
folklore thing that was? Oh, that's basically a kaiju.
No, I think he was
Well-
saying that he was looking at for a short story. He looked at a folklore thing and like, oh, this is like a different kind of fairy or something. It was a short story bit.
I thought it was
Hmm.
kaiju, and then it was like that's a Godzilla. It breathes fire. It has
Oh,
poison
right.
blood.
Yeah, that was
He
the,
did say
the
that-
Yeti thing in like
Yeah.
the German mountains or whatever.
Yeah,
In German,
Alpine
Italian
gnomes.
folklore or something.
Yeah,
that
that's what it
radiate
was.
something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name.
He also
of
said that there was going to be a Valkyrie story. Ooh, what's that going to be?
Right.
it. We all know what it's going to be, and I'm going to hate it.
It's about Guard, right?
That would be fine, but no.
It's gonna be Murphy, surely,
It's going to be
right?
about that midget.
Yeah.
Even though she should be an
And-
Einherjar and not a Valkyrie. But somehow it's going to happen.
But isn't that what we all want?
No, it isn't what we all want. Thank you very much.
It's what 99% of us want,
Isn't it what all the sensible
unless your heart
people
is
want?
made of coal. So
Us
My
people
heart was
who
made
don't
of
hate
gold,
good
and I'd be wanting
characters
more
and only
Santa
hate bad
stories, which I do.
characters.
yeah, Andreas, remind us about the bad characters you hate.
What, like Susan? Fucking bitch.
Which is correct.
It's the one thing you guys agree on. So
Maybe.
I don't know if there's any other character I actively dislike.
Hey, Freitas. Freitas was bad. Freitas.
Yeah,
should
that's
go
you.
away.
You've got to hang up on Freitas more than everyone else.
She was so annoying.
who?
I don't even
Useless.
remember who Freitas
the
is.
other
God.
Valkyrie.
The other
that was
guard
hooking up with
sister,
Lara.
Lara's annoying.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
right. Yeah, she was fucking useless.
Like
Annoying.
no, okay.
I mean, I
So
didn't
she
think
showed
much
up
of
in
her,
East
but I
Knox and
certainly
nowhere
didn't hate
else,
her in
right?
the same way the director does.
Yeah, that's funny. She seemed very Viking to me, but okay,
Well, because she was a Valkyrie. Or
Yes.
whatever.
right. So I was like, everything she did felt like it was in character, and that was good enough. But she's
think it's
just not
'cause-
as professional as Guard.
I don't hate
I was
her.
going to
she
say, I
just
think it's because
wasn't that
Guard's more personable,
useful.
which is funny considering she's not.
Right. So first chapter also out on their official website, Random House, right?
Spoiler
I'm trying to
alert.
think of what the
Sure.
Penguin.
Yeah.
Penguin Random House.
that's what it is. Yeah, I was like, I could remember the 3 letters and was trying to fill them in. So, but anyway, officially out on their website. Whatever. First chapter of 12 months. So it's happening. It's coming. Dresden's got trauma. If you read the law, it's not going to be that big of a surprise to you, I don't think. So, a lot of the same kinds of things are covered. And then what was it? Little Folk was the name of the short story.
Those little things.
Little Things. Okay. That gets referenced in that chapter as well. So this takes place like 3 weeks after Battlegrounds. So
Yeah.
And when
pretty
is the law?
Much later, actually, right?
Yeah,
So-
he was much closer to functional in the law than he was in this first chapter.
It wasn't the
So
law
the-
more like
yeah.
summer or whatever.
Maybe.
Some months later.
I don't mean to I don't mean to imply timeline. I'm just saying there's some elements that are dealt with in the first chapter that if you read the law that you'll understand. Like, William is his main dude and personal trainer and everything. I forget the Castellan, right?
Yeah.
That was the word. And then talking about how he's in the castle and he's got a couple of like a couple dozen families from his neighborhood there, and
Some street
Michael hasn't even
kids
shown up to
and-
like rough out the repairs yet, so it's very
Well,
fresh.
he
but-
did do the rough up of the repairs, but then there are other decisions, and that's why he was going to show up that day.
Gotcha.
Michael's not going to leave the castle with a hole in the ceiling for very long.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like, did we get the Doctor Strange skylight installed already, or is that later?
Probably
It's
in progress.
later, presumably. Yeah.
Well, if Michael's doing it, it's going to be a stained glass.
Nice. Yeah. I'm sure Harry would have some comments on that, or at least want to be like, yeah, that one gets twice as many wards. So the
Mm.
last thing we're going to have is something crash through it. No reference to the gargoyles that are supposed to be there, so we'll see.
I mean, if he had any sense, it wouldn't be glass. Doctor Strange be damned. It would be just more roof.
Sure.
Like if you want glass, put it on the front door or something.
Yeah. It's got to be way more dramatic when something like crashes through the ceiling, though. So
It's going to be him.
And you can-
Somebody's going to throw him through the ceiling.
nice.
Yeah, that's bound
And
to
then be
happen.
like, Thanos, he's coming. So wait, sorry. Anyway.
It'll be Freitas, and the director will
Yeah.
look over.
Who?
She just
Exactly.
throws it at the wall. Yeah. So I know. Yeah. Oh man. Time skips. That's a thing because I think that's going to be how he moves the plot forward. And then this was also like the day of his first date. So
Mhm.
So yeah, Molly shows up and it's like, we got to get you ready for your first date, but you don't have to, like I can put in a word with Mab as if that's going to move the needle on anything. So,
Yeah, right. So like, what exactly is going to be different next week as opposed to right now?
right. Yeah.
He might be
So-
crying 15 minutes instead of like, what is it, 30, 45 minutes? A couple hours. I don't remember how long it was. It was a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think a
So-
week is going to change that.
Time heals wounds.
Not
Chicks
in a
get
week.
Scars.
He's got plenty of those. He has a broken arm at the moment.
That's not really a scar, though. That's just kind of like.
Isn't this
Could
the
be.
first time? I mean, which also makes sense since the 12 months is going to take place over a year, unlike what we're used to. But this is the first time where we pick up so shortly after the big bad weekend of the book of the year, right? Like, usually he's just healed and better. I guess the most hurt we've seen him was Susan leaving, and he was like self-destructive and trying to find a way to cure her, right? That's the most we've seen him like be battle scarred before from one book to the next.
I mean, unless you're counting his physical therapy with Mab from Ghost Story to Cold Days, which
Fair.
I suppose is a different kind, but he was pretty banged up from that one.
Yeah.
And that was probably the shortest turnaround prior to this, right? Because I was like, technically speaking, it was him coming back to life, and then a couple weeks later, he's in the bed or something.
I think the Peace Talks to Battlegrounds was the shortest. So
That doesn't
just saying.
count because it
That
should have
doesn't
been book.
count.
You.
I'm gonna throw the book at you now.
But
No,
everybody's
the semantics
mad.
are
Woo!
irrelevant. If I'm not making a semantic argument, it doesn't exist.
I see. Yeah. I'm excited for it though. I mean, obviously, but
I
it's
pre-ordered
gonna
it,
be
so.
yeah, that first chapter is gonna be what you should expect at this point if you're all caught up on all the reading, and then can't wait to see all the twisty turns and
It's
stuff.
a good birthday gift to me because it comes out that week.
Nice. All right, are we ready to move on?
Not really.
Andreas, did you have one more thing?
It's more of a practical thing. I'll just take it with Alex after.
Yeah, that's what you
firing
get for being in charge. Yeah.
You're the director. That means I gotta coordinate it with you.
I am not writing your fucking wiki.
Do it.
That's not
Do
what
it.
it was at all.
Do it.
Okay, so I'm going to save you from yourself here. Total bro move. And not call any attention to it whatsoever. So we left off at the end of chapter 28, I think, where we find out that Mrs. Beckett is Miss Demeter and all of that stuff. And then chapter 29 is the soul gaze, right? The soul gaze. I'm not going to read this. I'm not going to go through all the details. I don't want to cry on the air. So you're just going to have to go, read it yourself and everything like that. But I was sitting here thinking, and I was like,
Hey,
we're
I
going to
actually
do
have
it.
a question about this scene
Oh
for
my
you,
God,
Justin.
Andreas,
Instead of fun.
I'm setting it up, my dude. Yeah, go ahead.
You've read the first time you read this, you didn't have kids, I think, right? When
Correct.
you read this book, right? Does it hit harder? Does it really? I would imagine since having kids, it really goes in to another level because you can put yourself so much more in that position.
I think as I read it, basically it like starts high and then it's spiked and then it's come down just the teeniest little bit again, right? But I share Harry's hang up about violence against women and children, right? So it was always a bad scene for me. And I don't recall per se listening to it, but I was almost certainly at work when I listened to it the first time. So that would have been an interesting display of emotion in front of my colleagues and everything like that. But
Justin,
yeah,
you okay?
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, right. I probably would have turned around to the coworker who gave me the books and just been like, "Why?" or something like that. But,
Would have made his day.
but like, yeah, I think the second or third time probably would have been the hardest, just because I think I had the oldest by then, and just it's the mommy that gets me, right? And just the
Yeah.
like inexplicable pain and the total randomness of it, and just like that's the stuff that just slays me, right? Is that it's like you're just there having the best day of your life, and then it's the worst day of your life. And if that's
Yeah.
not a nightmare, I don't know what is,
I think it's
And
the
so-
owies that like really
Yeah.
cuts in on me. I remember.
Marsters gets
Marsters
it well,
is-
and
yeah.
every time I'm like, fuck, here it comes again, and then I'm just like, gotta batten down the hatches and ride the wave, and and then just get through it and everything. But yeah, it's tough. So that's why I'm not going to read it on the air. That's why we're not going to go through with it and everything, because I'm a coward, and I'm not going to face that live on the air forever. But he goes through the soul gaze. He figures everything out, and then he's sitting there talking to Murphy, and it's like, well, shit, if it wasn't Miss Demeter, then fuck, Priscilla was the one giving us all the information, so it's got to be her then. So just like it had to be Miss Beckett 15 minutes ago. But
You can
yeah.
never trust someone in a turtleneck.
Right, yeah, it's a fucking Thomas,
He
man.
has a problem with turtlenecks.
I mean, vampires.
I
it's
mean,
just
it's
like
valid.
that's standard vampire attire, right? So
I mean,
for him, it's
why?
hickeys. For Redcourt, because the bite marks.
Yeah, I
Wait,
was going to say
Well,
vampires should
if
have
you're
the most
not-
problems with turtlenecks, considering.
But what is
If
it?
you're not familiar
Female
with this,
and the gills, it's just like he's got problems with turtlenecks.
well, but again, the gills make sense. So if you're not familiar with this, it's going to be lost on you. But like, go ask Astarion what happens when you don't wear a turtleneck. So I'm just saying. So there's a vampire who's like a primary companion in Baldur's Gate 3, and he reveals himself later, but I already knew it because you could see the bite marks. So spoilers, if you're into that. But it's like 2 or 3 nights into the game, he tries to bite you, and it's like, yeah, but I already knew it was a vampire. Like the first cutscene, I told my buddy, I was like, wait, shit, he's a vampire. And he's like, what? No, and I was like, you can clearly see his bite marks. So you just got to have your own, perception checks. But
Stupid
Anyway.
graphics.
Yeah, maybe he had
Right,
too bad
yeah.
of a graphics card.
right. No, he just one of those things. So anyway,
It's very
Um,
obvious. You can
the
see his
game is
fangs.
fantastic. Even if you don't like D&D, it's just a really good story and has stuff like that. So okay, so Dresden and Murphy are driving in haste to the motel. Murphy's driving because she's a cop, and also because Dresden's going to try and do some magic on the way. And let's see, is this the one? Yeah, it is, I think. Yeah, so Harry goes to throw his staff into the back seat of the car and hits Molly.
Mm,
So that becomes a thing.
right.
Um,
This is the sun melty face thing.
Yes. Yeah. So this car, I said, I hope not. I threw my staff in the back seat. Ow! Shrieked a voice. Murphy's gun came out every bit as fast as I raised my blasting rod. Its tip glowing with a scarlet incandescent.
I know Molly's being stupid right now, but
This is
is it
pretty
that
dumb.
hard? How hard is it to just not say "ow" when you're hiding?
She got surprised. So 98% of the time I say "ow" isn't because I got hurt. It's because I was surprised by it. So
Also, she had her
Same.
eyes closed because how else are you supposed to stay invisible?
right, because if she can't see you, then you can't see her. So that's how her magic works. Object permanence.
She has a lot of.
But what's
siblings,
ironic
that's
is that
just
once her
baby logic.
eyelids are invisible, she can still see you because
Because the eyelids are invisible.
yes. So it just occurred to me, but I was like, we're going with it. So
You have been changed over the years by your children.
oh yeah, 100%. I mean, you get changed by the people in your life anyway, but yes, having children, like, yeah. Okay, so
Molly at her stupidest, and in this book she is at her stupidest, and in this moment she's at her most stupidest because she's gonna get traumatized in the next 5 minutes, and that is when she actually gets changed. But
yes,
holy shit, is she annoying? That's it. That's up.
Yeah. I mean, I just think about how different it would have been if she had just laid down in the back seat, right? Like, why is she sitting up like a dork waiting to catch a staff in the face, right? It's like, not to mention, just don't block with your face. I tell that to my kids all the time. It's like, oh, he hit me in the face. Did you try not blocking with your face? That's the first thing that I'm going to tell you. Learn to protect the dome. That's where you live. You know,
it's the rule in the NFL now. You can't lead with your head.
Yeah, I gotta imagine Michael and Charity have the same conversations and be like, you know, the first thing you need to protect is your face.
No, their conversation is, you know, Michael is saying lead with grace, and Charity's saying God will provide, and she's getting hit with her kids, you know, with her little siblings throwing shit at her the whole time.
Right. God will provide. He provided Michael to not block with the face. So, yeah. All right. All right. So there was a flickering, and then Molly appeared in the back seat, legs curled up. Molly, damn it! What do you think you're doing? I came to help. I was good enough to track down your car, wasn't I? I told you to stay home because of the stupid bracelet. Anyway, we could go back and forth, but she's annoying. So, here's the. Oh yeah, so Harry blasts the trash can, right? And so he does the property damage, and Marcone comes out disapproving, and Murphy even is like, wait a minute, something is new here. And then he turns back to
Marcone's a bit
Molly.
resigned. But
No, Marcone was proven right. That's what that was. That was like, I knew this is why we've got you as a platinum member, because every time you show up, my buildings get hurt. You know,
there are no boobs in this scene, and he destroys something.
There's 2 pairs.
But
What
he
are you
doesn't
talking
get
about?
them.
A chick.
You just said Molly was being a huge boob this whole time.
I said she's being an idiot.
That's yes.
That could be the same thing. Look, man, I don't think
do not denigrate boobs.
There's not very many brains in the fatty tissues. I'm just saying. So probably pretty dumb.
If you're thinking with your chest, that's no better than the guy thinking down below. So
exactly, we got this. We're on the same page here. So yeah, 2 brain cells activate. All right. So anyway, he turns back to Molly after blowing up a trash can. I am not Yoda, you know, because she's like, but Yoda, blah blah blah. So, which is kind of fun because, you know, Harry's way into Star Wars and stuff. So, so then comes the son, and I just hit the wrong button. So,
yeah, the son that she is
there we go.
So completely incapable of doing anything for, because all she knows how to do is be invisible.
And she barely knows that, because she's only learned that since the book, right? Because in the first couple of chapters where they were like, well, we could still smell you and all this other stuff. So she's learning as it goes, and she is getting better at a pretty fast rate. Don't get me wrong. But yes, like what exactly else are her skill sets, you know? Did she bring any potions? That would have been fucking useful, because she's learning how to make potions. But no, she didn't bring any tools. She didn't bring anything. She brought her presence, which is not the help that she thinks that it is right now. So, you know, so like exactly what did you bring to the conversation? So, so snarling, I cupped my left hand, focused my ongoing anger, and a sudden sphere of light and heat blossomed to life. It wasn't big, about the diameter of a dime, but it was brighter. But it was as bright as a tiny sun. Harry, Murphy said. Her voice was a little shaky. We don't have time for this. You think you're ready? I told Molly. Show me. I blew on the sphere, and it wafted out of my hand and glided smoothly into the open door of the beetle toward Molly's face. What? Stop it, I said, if you can. She swallowed and raised a hand. I saw her try to control her breathing and focus her will, her lips blurring over the steps I'd taught her. The sphere drifted closer. Better hurry, I added. I did nothing to hide the anger or the taint of derision in my voice. Beads of sweat broke out on her skin. The sphere slowed, but it had not stopped. It's about 1200 degrees, I added. It'll melt sand into glass. It doesn't do much for skin either. Molly lifted her left hand, stammered out a word, but her will fluttered and failed, amounting to nothing more than a handful of sparks. Bad guys don't give you this much time, I spat. Molly hissed. Give the kid credit, she didn't let herself scream, and pressed herself as far as she could from the fire. She threw up an arm to shield her eyes. There's some other little skip here, almost certainly, but anyway. But I closed my fingers, willed an ending to the spell, and the sphere vanished. Murphy, standing across from the car, just stared at me. Molly lowered her hand, her arm moving in frightened little jerks. She sat there, shivering and staring, her tongue piercing rattled against her teeth. Just fantastic imagery of her being like a fucking rattlesnake for some reason, So anyway, I look at both of them and shook my head. I got control of my rampaging temper, and then I leaned down and stuck my head in the car, looking Molly in the eyes. We play for keeps, kid, I said quietly. I've told you before, magic isn't a solution to every problem. You still aren't listening. Molly's eyes, frightened and angry, filled with tears. She turned her head away from me and said nothing. She tried not to make any noise, but it's tough to keep a good poker face when a snarling madman nearly burns it off. There wasn't any time to waste, but I gave the kid a few seconds of space while I tried to cool my head off. The door to Marcone's building opened. Hendricks came out. Marcone followed a few minutes later. He surveyed the damage. Disappointed Marcone is the best Marcone. So,
yeah. He's off to call the insurance companies.
Right. Just
imagine being
shakes his head.
The insurance adjuster who has to go and say, I don't know about this, Marcone. I don't feel like this is covered under our insurance policy.
Yeah, you're right. He might be able to pay for shit out of pocket rather than deal with insurance companies, save himself a headache. And
either he's got his own insurance company. That's what you're missing. So, but yeah,
I'm
sure that helps with the money laundering somehow.
And people on sanitation workers,
probably.
He's fine.
Not to mention the fact that even if he was dealing with a straight company, he'd just be like, I don't know, it's the damnedest thing, but all my buildings are cracked and the windows are shattered. Like, I was inside, no witnesses, sorry. Obviously you don't tell him it was an act of God because that's clearly not covered.
What about act of wizard?
And it makes Harry's ego all the bigger.
That's less believable. So, yeah. So Murphy squares off with Dresden. All done. You want to smoke a turkey or set fire to a playground or anything? You could terrorize a troop of Cub Scouts as an encore. And after that, I could tell you how to do your job, maybe, which is always the right line, for that moment. So right after we bury the people who are, right after we bury the people who get killed because we're standing here instead of moving, which is rich coming from Dresden in this moment. So yeah, not now, but later we'll talk. This isn't finished. Later. So while they're driving, Dresden starts by catching Murphy up with the entire evil plan and white court politics, because he's not close enough to try the whole, psychic Elaine spell yet. So then Murphy asks, what's our plan? They're going to get to the motel. I'm going to try to reach Elaine. Then what? Well, I've got no use for doing anything that does what this thing does. Do you? No. And as I recall, you're on vacation right now and having fun. Then we won't worry too much about saving anything for later, I said, and I turned my head and said, Molly. The girl whipped up almost audibly. What? Can you drive a stick? She was silent for a second and then jerked her head in a nod. She's more useful than I am. I can't drive a stick. So
having a stick shift in Chicago sounds like misery because it's nothing but city traffic. It's like, okay, just another way that he's suffering.
Well, yeah. Is this the Blue Beetle? It is, right? Because Murphy's car has exploded. So
you're reading the book. I bet I think so.
I read this like weeks ago. This was the stuff that we didn't get to when I read it, and we didn't get to it last time. So this is like a month old for me now.
I mean, it makes some sense with the technology stuff that he would have to have a manual.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, that already breaks down plenty. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyway, when we get out, you're going to get behind the wheel. If you see anyone else coming, honk the horn. If you see a tall woman in a turtleneck sprinting away, I want you to drive the car over her. But you wanted to help. You're helping. Do it. Yes, sir. So, yeah. Not that the yes, sir should do anything for, anyway, just saying. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So, the next chapter starts out with Dresden trying to reach Elaine through the, the psychic connection and everything. So I just get an image of like they're driving and then everything fades to black with just Dresden and Elaine in this, dark room type of thing. So there's a lot of, inner monologue and just like mental stuff, right? But a lot of the oh yeah, he does talk about like making the connection, and like one thing that he does is like he doesn't just imagine how he sees her, but he pours a lot of his own life experience and his pain and everything like that into the image, because even though it's not hers, it's probably, they've had very similar lives. And he imagines her own sense of isolation and abandonment and all of this stuff, and then the image gets brighter and more like that. So maybe like flashes interspersed of his own memories, images from the show or something like that. And then once it's more, go ahead.
This is a moment of intense internal dialogue, and it's like in this exercise that we're potentially doing of making it a TV show. Does it fit to just jump into internal dialogue of what he's doing and what he's thinking? Because he has to graduate from the image that when they had made the spell when they were 16 to which he is now, right. Like what, 20 years later, like less than whatever, but like the pains of adulthood is what he's really going into. But you have to, he speaks it. How do you show that to audience?
I think that's where we could just do flashes of the scenes, right? Is instead of him narrating it like happens in the books, right, you're just going to show these flashes. It also potentially going to save time, right, where he can do this in a couple of minutes instead of explaining like every little thing, right? I'm very much, it's a show, so you got to show it, don't tell it, right? So I don't necessarily want his inner monologue and we just see Dresden being like, oh yeah, so then I'm imagining her at the bank and she's overdrafted, and then I imagine she stubbed her toe on a table, and then there was that one time she tangled with an imp or whatever. Like, no, nobody cares. Nobody's going to watch that. That's not entertaining. But if you can show little second snippets of him pouring this imagery into the illusion, and you just got the actress there, and even if it's as simple as like you've got her and then there's some kind of light, like yellowish golden light on her that just like gets dialed up every little memory that he plays through until she's there, and then you've got her in the tub and talking to herself, which is kind of what the scene really is when he makes the connection. So
I would say probably you can combine lots of flashes of images, which are going to tell a lot of information, and a little bit, perhaps, of delicate wording, internal dialogue to like, she's not the same person when she was a teenager. Here's how more complex she is because of all these other various things. And that's why we have to change the spell a little bit to be able to reach her. Both are probably the most time-saving, therefore, my suggestion.
Sure. Yeah, sounds good. So then he calls out to her by her, real name, which he only has 3 of, which makes her the lesser of the 2 wizards. I'm just saying wizards have 4 names or more. Because I think Dumbledore has like 18 names, so of which Brian is very important. So, but
now name the other ones.
So yeah, no, I can't. That one gets me every time just because of
Albus, Brian, Wulfric, Dumbledore.
Yeah, and you forgot one. Nope.
Yeah.
It's Albus Percival.
Percival?
Wulfric.
Yeah, Albus Percival.
Brian. Yeah. All right. So image comes to life. Elaine's face bowed forward, her hair falling around it, not quite hiding the expression of bone-deep weariness and despair. And then like this one, it's like it's all whispers, but it's also internal. So I gotta imagine he's saying it in this head space he's created, this connectivity. But Elaine, can you hear me? Her thoughts came to me in an echoing blur, like when they want to confuse you at the movies and they muck around with the voiceover. Hint, hint. Believe I could make a difference. One person doesn't. One person can't even make a difference. Not in the real world. God, what arrogance, and they paid for it. I put more will into my thoughts. Elaine! She glanced up for a moment, looking dully around the room. The image of her was filling in slowly. She was in a well-lit room without many features. Most of it seemed to be white, and then her head bowed again. She does more rambling. Dresden screams her name this time. She looked up again, blinking her eyes slowly. Her mouth began to move in time with her audible thoughts. Don't know what I thought I could do. One woman who spent her entire life running away, being broken. I would have served them better to end it before I ever left. Yada, yada, yada. We get like half of this is the Skavis and everything like that as well. So, because I think this is it. Just sit, almost over now. I won't be useless anymore. Just sit and wait. Won't have to hurt anyone. Won't fail anyone else. It'll all be over and I can rest. Didn't sound like Elaine's voice. There was subtle differences. It sounded like someone doing an impersonation. It was close, but it wasn't her. There were too many small inconsistencies. And then I got it. It was the Skavis, whispering thoughts of despair and grief into her mind, just as the wraiths would whisper of lust and need. She was under attack. Elaine Lillian Mallory, I called, and in my head my voice rumbled like thunder. I am Harry Blackstone Copperfield Dresden, and I bid thee hear me. Hear my voice, Elaine. There was a shocked silence, and then Elaine's thought voice said more clearly, Harry? And her lips moved, and the not Elaine voice said, what the hell? So that gets me every time. So Elaine's eyes snapped to mine, suddenly meeting them, and the room around her clarified into crystalline relief. She was in the bathroom of the hotel tub, naked in the bath, yada yada. Let's see. Elaine, I thundered, you are under a psychic attack. Priscilla is the Skavis. Elaine's eyes widened. Someone slapped my hand, slapped me hard on the face and screamed, Harry. The world flew sideways and expanded into a rush of motion and sound as my denied senses came crashing back in upon me. The Beetle was sitting sideways across several parking spaces in the motel's little lot, both doors open, and Murphy, gun in one hand, had a hold of my duster and the other with the other and was shaking me hard. Harry, get up. Oh, we're here. I stumbled out of the car, getting my bearings. Behind me, Molly scrambled into the wheel. Well, did you get through? I opened my mouth to answer, but before I could, every light in sight suddenly went dim. I don't mean they went out. They didn't. They just dwindled the way a lantern's flame does if you close off the glass, or I thought, struck with a sudden impression the way a fire might dim if somebody nearby had just drawn the air away. Something big enough to dim nearby flame as it inhaled. Something big taking a deep breath. And then a voice rang out with silvery rage through the air, kicking up a layer of dust from the ground in a broad wave in the wake of its passing as it rang out in echoing clarion call, Fulminaris! There was a flash of green-white light so bright that it came to my reawakened senses as a physical pain, a roar sounding loud enough to drown out a spring break band. The entire front wall of the first floor hotel room we had rented earlier that day was blown off the freaking building and into the street. So it's just like one of my favorite scenes of all time in the whole series. But so yeah, I've got more here. What were you going to say, Andreas?
I said it is really good.
Yeah. So Harry has to use
this. I can just visually, right? It just got like it came to me like where it's like, did you get through to her? And then it goes Fulminaris, and then he just looks at Murphy like deadpan, like, and like does a shrug on the shoulder.
Yeah, he doesn't have time for that, but yeah, did you get through to her? And then the lights dim, and just you can hear the like buzzing of the electricity trying to keep up or whatever, and then Fulminaris, and the building falls over, and just be like, was it his fault? So he was present.
And it wasn't on fire.
Yeah, right.
Yet.
No wasted heat. So. But yeah, so Dresden has to use his shield bracelet to, block the debris, including a giant boulder of debris that was going to like crush the Blue Beetle's windshield and probably kill Molly, who was, agape through the window because not smart, So, let's see. Yeah. So I squinted through the flying bits of building and furniture and rock, and a second later managed to spot a broken human form lying with its head in the street, its feet still up on the curb. Priscilla's turtleneck was on fire, and her hair stood straight out and was blackened and burned off within 3 or 4 inches of her skull. She ripped the turtleneck away in a kind of wobbly, disoriented panic and revealed a bra and falsies. Those got ripped off too, and what was left, while slender and hairless, was obviously the upper torso of a very pale, rather effeminate-looking man. There was a motion in the gaping maw of ruin that had been Elaine's hotel room, and the woman appeared in it. She was dressed in the cheap plastic curtain that had been hanging over the tub. She had a thick, linked chain wrapped tightly around her left arm, a couple of inches above her bloodied wrist, tied in an improvised tourniquet. She was quite dry, and her hair floated out and around her head, crackling with little flashes of static electricity as she moved. She slid herself slowly, carefully across the debris-strewn floor, and she held a short length of carved wood that looked nothing so much as an enormous thorn of some kind in her right hand, its sharp tip pointed at the man in the parking lot. The slivers of green lightning danced around its tip, occasionally flickering out to touch upon nearby objects with snapping, popping sounds as she passed.
This is gonna look so cool.
Right? Elaine kept that deadly little wand pointed at the Skavis, eyes narrowed, and said, her voice rough and raw, "Who's useless now, bitch?" I just stared at Elaine for a long minute. Then I traded a glance with Murphy, who looked just as startled and impressed as I felt. "Murph," I said, "I think I got through." There you go. So the Skavis agent came to his feet and bounded at us, quick as thinking. So, yeah. Harry turned to the car just as the horn started frantically beeping. He whirled. The Skavis agent was moving again. Got his knees underneath him. "Damn it," I said. Rushed to the car. I got the passenger door open and dumped Elaine inside, even as the Skavis rose to his feet. "Murphy!" Murphy called something I didn't hear very well. Oh yeah, I skipped the part. So like Murphy goes into the hotel room to check on the other women, right? And they've got a 2-story hotel room. So she's like up on the balcony or whatever. So the Skavis turned toward Harry, his face all contorted with burns on one side, twisted up into a hideous grimace. Murphy's gun began barking in steady, deliberate shooting rhythm. Sparks flew up from the concrete near his feet. At least one shot hit the Skavis, making his upper body jerk. I rose, blasting rod in hand. There was a roar more appropriate to a great cat than any dog, and the sound of shattering glass from the second level. Mouse flew over the safety railing, landed heavily on the ground, and lunged at the Skavis. The dog wasn't 6 inches behind the Skavis agent as it closed in on me, its one remaining arm raised up to, hit me. But given how hard the blow was going to be, I upgraded the verb to smite. He was about to smite me. Thomas came out of nowhere with that cavalry saber of his and took off the Skavis's smiting arm at the shoulder. It let out a scream that didn't sound anything like human and tried to bite me. I rolled out of his way, helping him along with a stiff shove to his back. Mouse came down atop him, and that was that.
Lunchtime.
Teamwork.
Right. Yeah.
Makes the dream work.
Yeah. So I think they're all they're talking, dealing with the aftermath and whatever, but I skip a little bit. So Harry asks Thomas, by any chance, is there a gathering of the White Court anytime soon, perhaps in relation to the proposed summit talks? If there was a meeting of the most powerful 100 or so nobles of the house scheduled to meet at the family estate the day after tomorrow, I couldn't tell you about it because I gave my sister my word. You tight-lipped bastard. So,
Can't get nothing out of
book,
him.
but it's one of my favorite lines, and it applies so many times in this book, so, but yeah. So little bit domestic, but Dresden takes Mouse and the Blue Beetle to the car wash to wash off the blood and stuff.
Hold on. I just want to highlight, because I was nagging on Molly earlier. It's like the Skavis dying is the moment that she is traumatized.
That's true.
That's true. I think she gets out of the beetle and starts throwing up or something.
Right.
This should be highlighted a little bit. Now she has
Fair.
learned her lesson.
Maybe. So,
Partly.
but she
Mostly.
clearly hasn't, but kind of,
She's
so,
learned the important bit.
lesson.
Yeah. She
Listen,
has
her
learned
teacher
a lesson
is still
here.
learning lessons. So
Also true, which I think I've got that line in here later, which is great too, which is like when he does agree to let her come along, and it's like, something along the lines of like, does that mean I'm learning or I'm figuring it out? It's like, hell, kid, I'll let you know when I do. So, but I just realized that's a chapter break. We're right at the hour. So chapter
Sweet.
32,
we did it.
So next time we get to the
Hopefully,
deeps, we better.
Well, yeah, next time we should definitely get to the deeps. I don't think there is as much in between. I think one of the big things is the conversation with like Molly and Dresden. There is a few things like I'm fully in the middle of the deeps up to the ghouls and everything with my reading right now, which at our current pace would be the entire next episode, right? Because we've only been getting through like 7 chapters on a good day. Today we did, I think we only did
4.
like 3, 4, yeah.
Well,
Because
we spent the first half.
Yeah.
Indulging Andreas.
Yeah. Yep.
You know how else you can indulge me? You can go to patreon.com/brokenjars.
You're welcome.
Potentially, you could go to brokenjars.xyz. You can go to our Discord channel if you pay some money on Patreon. And you can like, subscribe, and leave a comment here on YouTube. That helps a ton.
No.
If you want to read that up for the
It's
people
dead.
listening, Alex.
Do you think Elaine Skavis is a harbinger or precedent for when Harry was whispered to in changes?
That
least
says president, and you're not getting elected with one arm.
Perhaps it's evidence when he had the idea of like, oh yeah, we can do that. Bad guys can whisper things. Maybe,
Yeah, but we already know it was a fallen.
Yeah, we know who it was, but the mechanics of
No.
it's possible.
We know. Sort of.
All right.